Jess here, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to this week's reading vlog. So it is officially May. It's technically the 2nd because it's after midnight here, but I had to leave the house this morning to get blood work done, and I was just not up to being on camera. I also apologize for the crappy lighting because I've shut some of my lights off in my room, so you're getting dark, dim me, and even though I'm sitting in a completely different location, we're also going to still get an Ellie. It just wouldn't be a vlog without her. But I wanted to start this vlog off and make sure that I had filmed something because I did read today. This week, I'm going to focus on my DesertAthon TBR. Because I think I kind of want that to be the theme. Is I have technically 4 readathons I'm doing this month, so I want to have a vlog where I focus on each of those readathons, and then a vlog where I try to read whatever else I need to get to or finish some stuff up. So I read a whole 9 pages of The Bone Season because I need to finish this because I don't want to put it down again because I'm into it, and this is a rollover from last month. I've picked up Us Against You, which is the sequel to Beartown, and I'm on page 246, so I'm really flying through this one. It feels around a 3.75 star, which I think is what I gave Beartown. So not a bad book, but not my favorite. It's been perfect for having on in the background while I'm doing other stuff. So I will likely finish this tomorrow. I believe at the speed I'm listening to it at, I have about 2 hours left, so there's no reason I shouldn't finish this tomorrow. And this was one of my series to continue for last month, so it's also a rollover. And as for my DesertAthon TBR, the first book I needed to read was a TBR vet, so I'm reading A Forbidden Wish. And I am on page 80. So decent progress in this. I think I have a little over 2 hours in this one as well. And this is an Aladdin retelling that is, I think, YA. And I think there's going to be a romance. And I wasn't sure I was going to get into it, but it sucked me in pretty nicely in the beginning. So we shall see if it continues to jive with me. And once I get through this, I can move on to... She just nipped my neck. That was very nice of her. Mansfield Park. That's the next one. And I've been told I may not enjoy that. And that is also on my Spoonies TBR for Read a Classic featuring a disability. So, I'm reading it in the DesertAthon TBR because I have to read in order. So I can't kind of pick and choose. Because otherwise I would have read it at the end of the week. So... I will be reading that next, but I would like to get through this and this first, and then I'll move on to that. But yeah, I wanted to check in, let you know where I was at. Cielo just climbed out of my lap to climb right back into it. I don't know what she's doing. I'm hoping to have a bounce back from last month because with all the stress, I felt very, very off. And my concentration wasn't there, and that I was constantly getting sidetracked even though I wanted to read. I didn't always necessarily utilize my time as well as I should have. So hopefully this week I can bounce back, get through my entire DesertAthon TBR. I'm trying to remember what else is on it. Because let's see, I would have to read a book out of my comfort zone, which is Mansfield Park. I have to read a book that's in my comfort zone. I think I picked Hawkwing's Journey for that. I have to read a quick read, which I think I picked the next Wings of Fire book, so that should go really quickly. I know Gorgeous Cover is one. Yes, Gorgeous Cover, which is A Sprinkling of Murder. Then I have to read Myth or Lore, which is the next book in the Heroes of Olympus series, and then I finish it off with Kingdom of Copper. So... some of that will go really quickly. It's probably going to hinge on whether I can get through Mansfield Park. So we'll see. But yeah, hopefully a better reading week. Hopefully a lot of really enjoyable reads. Because like I said, it's very eclectic. And well, I said that in my TBR video. But very eclectic TBR. And I'm quite looking forward to diving into all of it. So I'm going to go read. And I will check back in with you soon-ish, hopefully. today, and me and Cielo thought we would check in because she missed being on camera. I've actually done a lot of reading so far in May. I'm pretty happy with my progress. I'm going to start with the books I've read or have worked on that have nothing to do with DesertAthon. So first up, I finished Us Against You, and I'm giving this 4 stars. This was a rollover from last month and is one of the series that came out of my series to continue jar. And this is the sequel to Beartown, and in Beartown, we're following this town that puts a lot of importance on their hockey team, and something happens that kind of creates a moral conflict that they have to deal with. I think I gave that one 3.75 stars. I enjoyed this one a lot more, maybe because I kind of already knew what it was about, and Beartown was a winter cover, so I went into it blind, and I might have enjoyed Beartown more if I had known what to expect. This was a continuation of that story. It follows along from the event, so I can't really talk about what goes on in this one, but it is definitely multi-POV, just like the first one. You get so many points of view that I've lost track. I couldn't even tell you how many. And it was interesting to see how this book progressed, and I'm just really looking forward, actually, to reading the third one, which I was not expecting after Beartown, so thumbs up for that. Oof. And then I picked up Promise of Blood. So this was originally a backlist book club book pick, but all of the hosts weren't enjoying it, so they have switched to something else. But my audiobook came in, and I figured I would give it a try, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm on page, let's see if I can do this one-handed, 202. So I'm making quite a bit of progress in this, and this one also has several different points of view, and basically we're following these powder mages who have the ability, I think, to kind of do magic with, like, bullets and stuff, and, like, guns. And they've basically had a coup that they created that took out the, royalty, took out the king, and now they are dealing with the fallout of that. And like I said, there's a bunch of different points of view. There's also these privileged, and they seem to have some sort of magic as well. So there's just a lot going on. I think our main points of view are Tamis, and he is the kind of, it actually says, I think, field marshal, and he was the one that kind of directed the coup. Then we have Taniel, his son, who is a very well-known powder mage and is part of Tamis's army. And then we have Adamat, who's a retired police inspector who Tamis is kind of blackmailing into helping him out. So I'm really, really enjoying this, and I'm very curious to see where it goes. Now, on to DesertAthon. So my first prompt for DesertAthon was to read a TBR vet, and I read The Forbidden Wish by Jessica Corey. I think I got this in like 2019, and this is an Aladdin retelling, and we're following Zara, who is a Ginny who gets woken up by Aladdin, and she's been imprisoned in her lamp alone for hundreds of years, and when Aladdin wakes her up, all she wants is to be free, and she gets the opportunity to do that, but in doing so, she'd have to betray Aladdin. So we kind of see her journey from there. We see Aladdin's journey as he tries to accomplish what he sets out to accomplish with the help of Zara, and I gave this book 4 stars. I actually really enjoyed it. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. It's YA, and I'm not as into YA as I used to be. And usually if I enjoy YA, it tends to be newer stuff who've kind of not followed the bit of a formula that YA got into for a while. And it's a retelling, so I wasn't sure how I was going to enjoy that. But I did end up enjoying it, and I like the way that Jessica Corey writes. It's very engaging and fast-paced, and really sucked me in. So I think she has some middle grades, so I think I would like to check those out at some point. But I'm glad I decided to pick this up for my TBR vet, because I actually ended up enjoying it. Then I had to read a book that was outside of my comfort zone, so I read Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. So this is also on my Spoonies TBR, and it was the only crossover I had, but because I had to read these in order, I decided to read it here. And I'm reading it for the Spoonies Readathon to read a classic that features a disability, because our main character, Fanny, has like chronic fatigue. She gets tired really, really easily, and it was interesting to see that play out in this book. So basically we're following, like I said, Fanny, and she ends up going to live with her uncle. She's one of a bunch of kids, and her uncle is much better off than her parents are. And we get to kind of see the life that her cousins lead. And when the Crawfords show up next door, there is Mary and Henry, and they're about the same age as like the cousins and Fanny. And they kind of get involved, and it is interesting to see the relationship dynamics that develop from there. I gave this book 4 stars. I actually quite enjoyed this. I've heard that a lot of people count this as their least favorite Jane Austen, so that gives me quite high hopes. If I enjoyed this one as much as I did, that I'm going to enjoy the rest of her works even more if this is kind of the agreed upon least favorite. I really enjoyed getting to see Fanny's perspective and seeing how she viewed things and how living in Mansfield Park kind of changed her, and the differences between her and her cousins and then the Crawfords when they showed up. I actually flew through this. Like, once I picked it up, I really didn't want to put it down. So again, that's surprising because that doesn't usually happen with classics for me. So I really, really enjoyed this, and I'm glad that both of those readathons gave me a reason to read Mansfield Park, and it makes me definitely want to pick up more of Jane Austen. Then I had to read a comfortable read, and I read Hawkwing's Journey. So I had started this for the Final Book Support Group back in March, but I'd only got a few chapters in, and I really couldn't remember the details, so I started over, and this follows, obviously, Hawkwing. So if you're new to my channel, Warriors is a series that follows forest cats that live in clans and have to try to coexist. There's like 100 or more books in the series at this point. And the super editions are standalones that focus on one specific cat and a huge chunk of their life, usually. And obviously, we're following Hawkwing. And I gave this book 4 stars as well. This is a theme of the month so far. And the reason this one got 4 stars is because I had a lot of trouble placing the characters. And I don't want to say why, because spoilers, but this one, I wish I had read at a different time. Like, I basically wish I had read this one at the same time or very close to when I was reading the arc where it took place, because I think that it would have made the characters stick out more and made them make more sense, because I spent a lot of time going, who is that again? I know exactly where it fits in the greater Warriors universe, but I kind of wished I had read it closer to some of the other books where we see Hawkwing and the other characters in his clan. I think that's why I got 4 stars, because I just spent a lot of time going, right, okay, and you are? Because I was trying to place all these people. So, well, these cats, they're not people. But I did enjoy it. I love being in the Warriors world. I love how Warriors is set up, and it was interesting to see this bit of time period in Hawkwing's life and in the clan's lives, because it is definitely an important piece of the puzzle. So I think, like I said, my only drawback is that I just wished I had read it when I was reading the arc, then way after. Then I had to read a quick read, and I read Escaping Peril. And I gave this book 4 stars. Again, theme, man. And this is the 8th book in the Wings of Fire series. And in this book, we're following Peril, who is a dragon we have met before. And I was not expecting to have a book told from her perspective. This is the 3rd book and kind of like the 2nd arc in the Wings of Fire series. And I really, really thought this was going to get a much lower rating, and then there were some twists and turns towards the end that bumped my rating up. I think it is one of my least favorite books in the whole series, but I am still enjoying it, and it definitely created a bit of chaos, and oh boy, that ending, I cannot wait for next month when I can read book 9, because, well, I was not expecting what happened at the end of book 8 to happen. And then, the last update I have for you, Cielo, you're not helping. Not even in the slightest. Is that I need to read a book with a gorgeous cover, and I am reading A Sprinkling of Murder for that. And I am on page 146. So this follows Courtney, who ends up opening this, like, fairy garden tea shop kind of thing. And she can see fairies, or at least one, and a dead body shows up in her kind of back garden of her property, and It just so happens to be a neighboring business owner, and Courtney kind of becomes the main suspect. I'm not sure I'm sold on this one yet. This one, I would be surprised if it hit 4 stars. It's feeling very 3.5 for me. I don't know. I'm not really attached to any of the characters at this point, and it feels like a cozy mystery I could sit down, walk away from, and not pick up again. So I don't know. I mean, again, I'm only like halfway through, so I have plenty of pages to go that may change my, thought process on it. But as it stands right now, I'm not loving it. So we shall see. So that's my update. I'm actually, like I said, doing exceptionally well when it comes to reading. Very, very surprised given how slumpy I've been, but no complaints. I have to finish A Sprinkling of Murder, and then I have to read A Mark of Athena for myth or lore, and then I'm going to be reading Kingdom of Copper for a Desert Vibes book. So I might actually be able to finish my entire DesertAthon TBR in 7 days, which is the goal, but it's not required, but it is the goal. So we will see. This vlog will end when I finish Kingdom of Copper, so hopefully it'll be 7 days. If not, I'll stretch it to an 8th, because I don't think it'll take me that much longer unless something crazy happens, but that is my plan. So I will probably check back in with you when I finish those 3. And yeah, very, very happy with my progress. And I mean, a bunch of 4 stars isn't a bad reading week, so also thumbs up for that. So we shall see how the last 3 books go, and if I can also finish Promise of Blood. And once I do, I will check back in with you. Officially May 8th, which means we have finished the first week of May, and I have completed my DesertAthon TBR, which was my goal for this week. And as you can see, Ciela was here from the start of the video. Yep, she wasn't missing out on the last clip of this video. So, last time I checked in, I was partway through A Sprinkling of Murder, and I was reading this for a beautiful cover, and I ended up giving this one 3.25 stars. I wasn't super invested in the murder mystery aspect of it, and well, there was just a lot of characters, and it felt very info dumpy in like listing them all off, so I had no idea who anybody was. I think I will continue on with this series if it comes out of my jar, but I'm not like massively invested. I don't know, did I say that I gave this 3.25 stars? I gave it 3.25 stars. I was thinking it was going to be 3.5, but I really couldn't justify more than 3.25. I liked the fairy aspect of it, but I don't know if that's enough to redeem it, but I would be willing to give it at least a second glance, mainly because of the fact that, like, I feel like maybe the second book would be better if it doesn't, like, info dump a bunch of characters on us, or, like, add a bunch of characters without really giving you context as to who they are. So, I don't know, we'll see. It wasn't my favorite, but I didn't hate it. Then for Myth or Lore, I did my reread of The Mark of Athena, and I gave this 4.5 stars. She's like falling off my lap. She's such a goof. I really enjoyed my reread. I think this so far is my least favorite book in the Heroes of Olympus series. I laughed out loud multiple times throughout this book. There's some very, very funny moments, and I love some of the humor that shines through because it reminds me of the Trials of Apollo, because that's one of my favorite things about the Trials of Apollo is the humor. And it's nice to see it in these books in ways I wasn't expecting. And yeah, I enjoyed it, but it wasn't my favorite in the series. I mean, 4.5 stars is still an amazingly brilliant book. I just definitely didn't enjoy it anywhere near as much as the first two. But I'm excited to be reading The House of Hades soon, so that's also exciting. And then I had to read a desert vibe book, so I read Kingdom of Copper. So this is the second book in the Daevabad trilogy, and I gave this book 4.5 stars. I adored this. Absolutely adored this. It was just missing that one thing that would have made it 5 stars. I think it was because, at least for me, it started off a little slow. But, like, once I got into the flow of things, I didn't want to put it down. Like, I literally devoured this book. I started it yesterday. I just was not expecting any of the twists and turns that happened in this book at all. It was interesting to see how our main characters' relationships developed throughout this book and see kind of the journey each of them went on. The ending is a giant cliffhanger, and I'm so glad that I get to pick up book 3 next month instead of the poor, poor, poor people who read The Kingdom of Copper and then had to wait however long it took for the final book to come out. Because I would have been so mad if I had read this when it first came out and then had to wait. So, really, really enjoying my reread of the series. Well, not reread. I reread The City of Brass. But really enjoying my reread / continuation of the series and very, very excited to finish it next month. Now, today, Esme announced our very first bonus prompt. There's going to be 3. And we're going to get one each week. So she dropped one tonight. I'm assuming she's going to drop one on the 14th, and then she'll drop another one on the 21st. And the prompt was 5-star prediction. So in my next vlog, I will be working to read my 5-star prediction, which is going to be The Length of a String. It's the last book I have for, I want to say, my 8th round of 5-star predictions. And I'm currently also reading my 9th round. So I'm hoping I can get to this week so I can wrap that up. And yeah, it's a middle grade, and I think it's maybe historical fiction, maybe contemporary. It's going to have some historical fiction vibes, I think, because we're following Imani, and she's Black and Jewish, and she doesn't really know much about her heritage, and she ends up getting her great-grandma's old journal, and it's the diary of her great-grandmother's time from 1941 and when she fled Nazi-occupied Luxembourg. So, yeah, that sounds like it's going to be quite the interesting read. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I'm very excited to be picking that up. The only other update I have, which has nothing to do with DesertAthon, but like I said, it was never going to be just a completely DesertAthon vlog, is that I am now on page 266 of Promise of Blood, and I'm still really, really enjoying this. I picked this up after I finished Kingdom of Copper and read a little bit tonight. Very curious to see where this goes, as we've already had an interesting development. Like, literally, where I'm at, there was an interesting development. So I'm very curious to see where this goes. All in all, a very, very successful first week of May. I feel like I've kind of broken out of my slump. And I'm very excited to see what the second week of May brings me with my Spoonies blog. But that's all for this vlog. All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me taco emojis. I have no idea why, but it was the first thing that popped in my head, so taco emojis. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!